Well, the NFL Combine kicks off this week up in Indianapolis, so we'll talk very briefly about that. But also, free agency in the NFL starts very, very soon. So we're going to break down the safety position because that is one of the biggest positions that the Jets are going to have to address in both the draft and free agency. So we'll talk about that. I got a few things that are definitely on my mind that we'll address in the 3 and Out, plus Jets trivia. You know what's up, guys. It's Wednesday night. It's 6 p.m. Eastern, and we are live. Welcome everybody to New York Sports WickerMedia. I am your party host, Watu-K99. It's right over there. There's Rich Cimini says WA2K99 or underscore 99. Yeah, it gets butchered quite a bit, but hey, what are you going to do? But anyway, it is a Wednesday night, the final Wednesday night here in the month of February in 2025. And for a month that tends to be pretty slow in the sports world, quite a bit of things are out there for us to talk about. Last time I was actually on the air was that Four Nations overtime disaster where the United States blows it against Canada, and I pretty much went off on them, on Connor Hellebuck and the U.S. team for blowing it again. So onward and a continued downward we go. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the safety position tonight. You know, remember last week how we sort of speed dated the tight end position? We looked at what might be out there on the open market, and we took sort of a preliminary look at what would be available in the draft and try to come up with an idea if this is a player we might want to take a look at or not, and kind of gave him a little bit of a ranking. Well, we're going to do the same thing again today with the safety position. We'll be doing more in-depth analysis as the weeks approach and the draft is coming. But yeah, this is actually the second to last show before free agency really starts. So next week will be more of a big picture free agency preview. So that's kind of the idea that I have for right now. So all of that's coming up. But first of all, let's talk about what's on my mind and a little bit of what we like to call 3 and Out. First thing, the New York Mets. And the pitching continues to take hits. Sean Manaea out 6 weeks, probably longer, with a strained oblique. I would say the best case scenario is he is able to start pitching again in about a week, then give him about a month to build up, and he's back right around, say, the middle of April. I think that's about best realistic case scenario. It's not a situation where at this point I would encourage the Mets to go out and start signing other pitchers. Like, of course, there's the Trevor Bauer cult. So that's a very interesting group of people for sure. A lot of people talking about Jose Quintana. And it seemed as though that was about to happen because Quintana, currently on the National Colombian team roster, he was pulled from his most recent start this week, which prompted some speculation that maybe he would be going back to the Mets. Well, no news, but I tell you what, a rotation that was, I felt, very middle of the road is now not only a very middle-of-the-road rotation, but has gotten very, very thin. At this point, what are we looking at for the Mets in the rotation? Kodai Senga, who pretty much needs an extra day in between starts anyway. David Peterson, who really emerged last year. Hopefully he could do it again. Clay Holmes, who's a converted reliever, looked great in his first spring training start. And after that, what are we talking about? Griffin Canning, who was terrible with the Angels. Paul Blackburn, coming back from spinal fluid surgery. Did pitch a perfect inning, though, today against the Marlins. So at least he got back on a mound, but he's working his way up. Tyler McGill is pretty much always there. He's probably going to be a Met. Tyler McGill is going to be a Met longer than Ed Kranepool. I'm pretty much convinced of it at this point. You just can't get rid of McGill no matter how hard you try. But for people thinking that Jose Iglesias is what the Mets need to try, if they're going to sign anybody, it's got to be a pitcher because the depth is just not there right now. Even with the injury to Nick Madrigal, who separated his shoulder. He's going to be out for a very long period of time. I still feel fine with the lineup, but the pitching will need more depth. Number 2, the New York Knicks. The Knicks fan base is insufferable right now. I have seen times when the Mets fan base was rough, the Yankees fan base was rough, the Jets fan base, yes, but I understand it most of the time. But the Knicks fan base right now, maybe about the most annoying in the metropolitan region, and I'm one of them, okay? Yes, this team has been horrific against the 3 best teams in the NBA, against Boston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City. There does seem to be something missing from the team this year that was there last year, whether it's the toughness, the tenacity, whatever it may be. But tonight they play the Philadelphia 76ers, and it's a lose-lose situation for the Knicks. Why? Because you'll have the miserable fans who have already decided the season is over. If they win, and it'll be like, well, we can't beat elite teams. It doesn't matter. Okay, here's the thing with the Knicks. They're going to be the number 3 seed. About 90% sure they're going to be the 3 seed. They just got to be healthy when the playoffs start. That's it. Up until then, this is all just rehearsal for the main event. And I do have to spend a minute on the NHL right now. The Rangers and the Islanders. It was a huge game for both teams on Tuesday night, and both teams lost. Yes, the Rangers won the game 5-1. A lot of contributions from players you would not expect. Johnny Brodzinski scores twice. Urho Vekanainen, or as I just call him, Vicodin, had a goal and 2 assists. But both teams lost. The Islanders have lost 4 straight. They've allowed 4 goals or more in every game, and they continue to fall further down the playoff standings. Maybe this convinces Lou Lamoriello to trade some players away, like Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri, by the deadline. That, by the way, is coming up on March 7th. But the Rangers took the bigger hit. They lost Keandre Miller to an upper body injury, and the worst one was Adam Fox getting hurt. He hurt his shoulder on a collision. Neither one returned. Fox is now just confirmed this afternoon going on injured reserve. He will be out at least a week. Right now, the only news we have is he is expected to be back before the end of the regular season. The regular season ends in the middle of April. Okay, it's about 7 weeks away. And you add that to Chris Kreider, who has a back injury, has not been right all year. Please, I have felt for 2 months the Rangers season was basically dead when the only goal left is to win the Stanley Cup. There's nothing else. I've seen this team make the playoffs 14 out of 15 years. I've seen them get to a conference finals. I've seen them get to the finals in 2014. I want to hoist the cup again for the first time in 31 years. That's all that matters to me anymore. But seeing how these players have been playing lately, how they could go a full period without a shot on goal, the way even their best players disappointed in the Four Nations face-off. Let's point that out. And now they lose their best defenseman in Adam Fox, who runs the power play, who plays 26, 27 minutes a night. I just don't see what hope is left. To me, the season is all but done. The Rangers host Toronto on Friday to open up a 4-game homestand. Whoop-de-doo. I'm just – there is no Ranger team that I have hated in my time being a fan than this team, and that goes back almost 40 years. I'm just disgusted with the way that this season has gone. All right. Well, enough of that. Let's go ahead and flip the screen right there from blue to green. There we go. It's time to talk a little bit of NFL. So, Jet fans, let me hear you. Time to talk a little bit of New York Jets. Want to say hello to the great Danger Zone. Happy Wednesday to you as well. You mean the term free safety doesn't just apply to your budget? Yes, that's right. Yes, my budget starts in the red around here. Especially after getting my taxes done on Monday. It's even more in the red. But what are you going to do? I didn't even know. Oh, my God. You have the form, because, with the Google payouts, you got to pay the taxes on it. Just the form for that costs more than I thought it would. Man, oh, man. So is it YouTube already takes like 40%, and the IRS takes about another 20. So you got to love it. So, but I did want to talk about a couple of things with the Jets here. We're going to talk about the news, and we'll get into the safety breakdown. The first thing we got to talk about is the news that made the rounds today. It was the NFLPA report cards coming out. Okay, now the Jets were ranked 29th overall in the NFL. This is based off basically the facilities, the personnel, all that kind of stuff. And a couple of things stand out to me. Number one, the treatment of families. They got a C minus, 24th in the NFL. I think Steve Cohen needs to call Woody Johnson and say, Woody, get your head out of your ass. Here's what you do. Okay. So that was one that was pretty surprising. We're going to get into the food and the nutrition in a few moments. I'm a little surprised that the locker room is only a D plus. I mean, to me, the Atlantic facilities look absolutely fantastic. The training room, weight room, we know all of that's changing with the staff changing over. Strength coaches, they got a B, but that's still only 29th in the NFL. Team travel, 24th, not so good. The head coach, a B, but that's still 25th. Well, Jeff Ulbrich is gone. And the ownership, I'm going to do it Ray Lucas style for you, everybody. F. Woody Johnson, a big fat F. Now, some of the notes on here, the Jets dropped from 21st to 29th overall. And rather than addressing concerns, players believe management responded to feedback by making conditions work. If that's true, then everybody in the front office, everybody who's affiliated with the Jets needs to be shown the door. Being that, so the dietitian wasn't retained after the food program got low grades, so players felt the team cut the food budget and changed the dietitian, who was the highest rated staff member. Okay, so the food got low grades, but the dietitian is the highest rated staff member. Something about that does not add up to me. And that dietitian went to the Chiefs, made significant improvements. How is the food bad, but the dietitian is good? Something about that, I don't know. I guess the dietitian and the cooks don't have a whole lot of communication. So to me, that's just a little bit weird. So then when asked what needs the most improvement, players pointed to the food, although they like the new dietitian, top leadership issues, and the ownership dropped from a B minus to an F. I think the big thing is this. The players are pissed off at Woody for firing Saleh when he did. The players liked Robert Saleh, but that doesn't mean he was a good enough head coach. Okay, so I see a lot of complaining. I see a lot of bickering, and those malcontents, we don't need them because I don't care who it was. We lost with them. We can lose without them. So the only owner I think also graded that low with Woody Johnson was David Tepper of the Carolina Panthers. At least Woody Johnson has never thrown a beverage at fans sitting in the stands. Okay, so at least Woody has that going for him. But again, I really think this is a lot of venting. I mean, when you're winning, I'd say the how do I say this? The meatloaf's going to go down just a little bit easier. The gym, you're just looking forward a little bit more to going to the gym. The locker room just seems a little bit better because people in there are smiling. Losing breeds negativity, just like winning breeds positivity. So I wouldn't make too big a deal out of this, especially considering that the staff is pretty much turned over. Let's see what happens now. All right. Well, actually, I'm going to get into the combine and basically here's what's going on with the combine. There we go in Indianapolis. But I want to talk. Let's see. I'll just give you a couple things on the combine. So on Thursday, February 27th, defensive linemen and linebackers, they will test from 3 to 8. Friday, February 28th, from 3 to 9, it'll be defensive backs and tight ends. This is a day I'll be paying attention to it because the Jets really need help at those positions. Saturday, March 1st, from 1 to 9 p.m., quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. Definitely watch the quarterbacks. And Sunday, March 2nd, from 1 to 5, will be offensive linemen. So they saved the offensive linemen for the end. So I would say definitely Friday and Saturday would be the days to watch most closely. If you're watching the combine, God bless you. I'll be working. I'll just be following whatever notes are given. Actually, before I get into Aaron Glenn for a moment, I want to spend a minute here on Garrett Wilson. And I'm actually going to say a quick hello to Sharon McLean. How are you doing? Let's go Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and Jets. Yes, a woman after my own heart. There you go. And my own misery. Hey, Tony Alexio, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're having a great week. Okay, so Zach Rosenblatt from The Athletic, our favorite collective publication as Jets fans, he came out with a report that Garrett Wilson wants to re-up with the Jets, which will No doubt disappoint a lot of the Jets haters, but he is hoping to get $30 million a year on his contract. Now, again, we have to keep in mind the salary cap is continuing to grow and grow and grow. But I took a look at the other wide receivers in the NFL right now, and there are only 6 making $30 million a year. Only 6. They are Justin Jefferson at 35. You got CeeDee Lamb at 34. A.J. Brown at 32. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 30. Brandon Ayuk at 30. And Tyreek Hill at 30. Then you have a couple of other guys kind of like right behind there, like Cooper Kupp and people of that nature. Jamar Chase, by the way, is making about $8 million a year, which is a crime. Okay, to me, Jamar Chase should be getting 35, right up there with Justin Jefferson. Do I put Garrett Wilson on the same level as these receivers? I don't know if I would quite go there. If he would accept something in the $25 to $27 million a year range, I would be very happy with that. Because again, it's not how much money you make, it's what percent of the cap you take up. And as good as Garrett is, it's like, okay, he's a very, very, very good receiver, but is he Justin Jefferson? Is he Jamar Chase? I don't know if he's quite there. Maybe the offense hasn't quite worked in his favor, hasn't had the best quarterback play for the most part. So, but if you want to, are you making a case? Is Garrett Wilson a top 10 receiver in the NFL? I would definitely say top 15, top 10. Maybe he could work his way into that. So it's something that will definitely bear watching, but I definitely hope the Jets are prioritizing a contract extension with number 5 because he is definitely deserving of it. Now, Aaron Glenn, I'm going to address the comments that were made at the Combine on Tuesday. The Darren Muji comments, please. There's nothing to address there. It's just typical GM vanilla Melba Toast speak. There's really nothing there to talk about, which is typically the case with most general managers. But Aaron Glenn, when asked about, I want to mention a few things that Glenn talked about because I felt a lot of people, particularly in the media, really blew up what he said. Glenn said we're looking for winners. We're looking for smart and tough players. That seems to be basically the same thing. But here's what I want to know. Do they want proven winners? Are they looking for players who have already won somewhere else before? Whether that's, have they won a Super Bowl? Have they won a national championship in college? Or do they just have that winning attitude? So when Aaron Glenn says he wants winners, I wonder what he is really saying, if he wants the winning pedigree. Oh, gosh. I'm going to have to do something about this camera. But all right. Got to switch the camera over. There we go. Start cam. Okay, there we go. All right, so Aaron Glenn also admitted that he talked to Quinn Williams regarding the thumb down emoji after the news broke that the club was moving on from Aaron Rodgers. Glenn said they spoke about it. He understands some guys are concerned about a rebuild. He'll keep the conversation private. I like that Glenn took the time to lay down the law, that he is really making an emphasis on keeping that kind of business in-house, because last year we really started to see some leaks out of the Jets front office, and I'm glad that that is simply not going to be the case for a long time. He also said that it pisses him off that a lot of the conversation and a lot of the questions he gets are about Aaron Rodgers. Says it's disrespectful to the other players. You know what I hear with Aaron Glenn there? I hear the non-quarterback in him speaking. I hear somebody who maybe felt he didn't quite get the recognition in a career that maybe he felt he deserved it, because he sees quarterback gets all the attention. Casual football fans think about the quarterback and nothing else. Now, we're not that. If you're watching shows like mine and shows like, the other content creators, you're into it. You're in it for the knowledge, and, your football intelligence goes deep. So when people only ask about the quarterback or talk about the quarterback, to me, it's just laziness. I'll tell you one thing I did like is that Glenn and Muji made, it was like 4 or 5 references to their desire to win now. Maybe that's a message to prospective free agents. Who knows? Maybe they feel they need to say that because, let's be honest, the perception of the franchise is not exactly what I call promising right now. Okay. So there's a couple of thoughts on those comments, and we'll see what happens in the next 4 days at the Combine, who stands out, who drops a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think David Wyatt Upton said, it's the Underwear Olympics. That's all it really is. It's like, yeah, this guy can run really fast, but is he going to beat that offensive lineman, get around the edge, and get to the quarterback for a sack? Yes, he can. Yes, he can run really fast, but can he separate from great cornerback coverage? Combine can't tell you those things. All right, so let's get into some of the main content for the night here. I wanted to talk about the safety room because this is a position the Jets have not invested in quite some time. Usually, it's been trades and low-level, free agents, which I don't have the biggest problem with. You can't pay $10, $15 million a year to every player. And to be honest, if there's a position I'm willing to find some bargains in, it's this one. I'll take it over the previous regime of using their top 2 draft picks on safeties, which to me was just absolutely ridiculous. But there are quite a few. I think the safety free agent class is actually pretty interesting. So I'm going to give you 6 safeties to watch as the market opens in about 2 weeks. Number 1, and at the top of my list, is one of my favorite players in the NFL who's not a Jet, and that's Javon Holland. I have been a fan of his since the first year he was in the NFL. He's only 25 years old. He is not going to be franchised. It's been all but confirmed. So he was a second-round pick out of Oregon in 2021. Of course, we know him for the Fail Mary, but it goes much further than that. He has ranked as one of the 5 highest graded safeties in 2 of his first 3 years in the league. He last year had a career low 63 PFF overall grade. So that wasn't great, but his body of work is excellent. He can play cover. He can play in the slot. He could be a box defender. He could do just about anything that you want him to do. What he didn't really do this year was make the splash plays like he did in the previous year. He didn't have an interception this season. I wonder if Dolphin fans are as pissed off at him as Jet fans are at Sauce Gardner, over the lack of interceptions. But for his career, Holland has 5 interceptions, 16 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, and 5 sacks in 4 years. So it'll be very interesting to see where Holland goes. If I could see him asking for $15, $20 million a year. And I think he would be well worth that price tag. Not saying the Jets are the best fit for him, but somebody's going to be very, very happy to get him. It's just when you have so many needs, do you want to devote the most amount of your free agent dollars to safety? Number 2 is Trevon Moehrig. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. From the Raiders, 26 years old. This one could be a sneaky good pick. Now, in the last 2 years, he has 5 interceptions and 12 pass breakups. If you go back to 2023 since, he's a top 15 safety in interceptions, forced incompletion rate, tackles for a loss, defensive stops. Moehrig can do a lot. He could tackle. He can cover. 5 tackles for a loss in 2024. Could play deep. Tackles hard. I think that is going to be a very good pickup for whoever gets him. All right, number 3, let's go on to Talanoa Hufanga from the San Francisco 49ers, 25 years old. Now, the issue with him is injuries. He's been limited to 17 games over the last 2 years, but he's a former All-Pro. He's a natural disruptor when he is healthy. Now, in 49 games, Hufanga has 7 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, has a defensive touchdown. He's really good when you put him in a very specific coverage scheme that allows him to roam to the front, to basically spin down to get to the front of the line. So Hufanga's worth looking at also. Justin Reed, a lot of people very interested in Justin Reed. ESPN has ranked the New York Jets as the best fit for Justin Reed in free agency. If Aaron Glenn wants a winner, well, this guy qualifies. Now, he's a little bit older. He's 28 years old, but he is that veteran presence. He can drop the hammer when he's tackling downhill. He's one of the best run defending safeties in the NFL. But, Kansas City, it's not that there's anything wrong with Reed, but Kansas City, certain positions will go ahead and cycle through and make sure they hold on to their core players like Mahomes, like Jones, like Kelsey, and so on. But in his 3 years with the Chiefs, Justin Reed has 261 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions, 14 pass breakups. Justin Reed would be a very interesting signing for the Jets, I think. Then we go to Cameron Bynum in Minnesota. Well, he has made a number of game-changing plays through his 4 NFL seasons, 8 interceptions. He had 3 alone in 2024. In 2023, Bynum had 104 solo tackles. That was the most among any safety. And this is a player who can really help limit big plays. So Cameron Bynum, I would be a little surprised if Minnesota didn't bring him back, but we'll see. And to go a little bit lower, I'm going to go with more of a sleeper with this last one. It's Andre the Giant Cisco from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's only 24. Now, he really had the profile of a player who's really ascending. He, in 2023 and 24, he posted 7 interceptions, makes big plays, but his contract year did not go very well in the 2024 regular season. The Jaguars took a step back as well. Week 13 and week 14, he wasn't even playing. He was really being rotated in by the coaching staff. But you know what? We've seen again and again a messy situation like this. It affects the whole team. So maybe what Cisco really needs is a change of scenery, and that could get him back on track. So that's 6 safeties to watch in free agency. Now let's go over to the draft. And I've got 14 safeties to look at in this draft. Now, these I'm going to rank 14 down to 1. If you have any questions about these guys, if you have any thoughts about any particular players, put it down there in the chat because, hey, when you guys interact with me, it makes it a whole lot more fun. And I know we have an audience of thousands here, but don't be afraid to state your opinion. Well, maybe over the next month we'll have 1,000. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to start with a couple of players who I think would be drafted at the very back of the draft or possibly be UDFAs. But for the Jets, a franchise who needs several safeties, let's think about it, okay? Chuck Clark, unrestricted free agent. Ashton Davis, unrestricted free agent. Jalen Mills, unrestricted free agent. Tony Adams, restricted free agent. And I don't think he's exactly a Pro Bowl caliber player. He's okay, but he's got good coverage ability, but I don't really like his tackling. So I got a good feeling Adams should be back just because it won't cost a lot of money to keep him. But the Jets got to bring in at least 2, maybe 3 safeties. All right. So bringing somebody in from free agency would be great. But let's look at a couple of other players. Now, on the back end, at number 14, I've got Craig Woodson from Cal University. He's 6 feet, even 210 pounds. Now, this is your quintessential lunch pail player. He puts his head down, he gets to work, and he plays with great versatility at a high level. A little bit older, 23 years old, but he has played at least 130 snaps in the box, at free safety, and in the slot. He's one of only 3 players to have that kind of versatility while posting an 80 PFF grade or better. 80 at overall defense, run defense, tackling, courage. Craig Woodson is a good all-around safety. Now, his PFF defensive grade is 87.6. That's tied for 12th among all safeties. Excellent tackler, has a 7.9 missed tackle percentage. Okay. And tied for 22nd among safeties and 88.1 coverage grade. I did not find a whole lot of people talking about Craig Woodson. Okay. I look at most of the YouTube guys who really do this, and they would do top 10, maybe top 15. But, I found this guy in one article and I looked into him a little bit more, and I really did like what I was seeing. I'll give you some more numbers. He's 5th in forced incompletions with 9. He can make plays on the ball. And again, play deep, play close to the line of scrimmage. So if you're looking for a multifaceted defensive back, like the Jets had with saying Isaiah Oliver, this guy could do that. Now, what's his weaknesses? Well, his zone awareness is not that great. He can get caught out of position by overcommitting. So sometimes he needs to be reined in a little bit. And his body length is kind of average, so that could hurt his ability to compete against those larger pass catchers. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So let's see here. Yeah, Craig Woodson. Is Craig Woodson related to Rod Woodson? I know it's just the last name would have to make you happy. Oh yeah, and he had to deal with COVID at one point too, so that wasn't the best result for him. Craig Woodson, Rod Woodson. I don't think they are. Related. There's one other Sports Illustrated article that came out today on Woodson, along with guys like Teddy Buchanan, the linebacker from Cal, who I know Dom is a big fan of his. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, I don't think I do not believe that they are related, but it's worth asking the question. Glenn kind of got for sure. Yep, there you go. Dangerous. I'd like to have Chuck Clark back at a veteran minimum and a backup role. No, that's about all I would take for him at this point. I just can't. I can't give Chuck Clark anything more than that. Just can't do it. We know he's a very good tackler, but his coverage ability is just not quite there. Or put it this way, if you're going to put Clark there, you need that center fielder style free safety to pair with him. And I don't know if I trust Tony Adams enough to do it. So I really am not expecting Clark back at this point. So yeah, Craig Woodson, I could see him going in maybe the late fifth, sixth round, somewhere in there. But again, the Jets have multiple 6th-round picks. If they use one on Woodson, I'd be fine with it. Number 13 is Malik Verdon from Iowa State. Now, we know the Jets like their Iowa State players. That's been a bit of a habit as of late. Well, Verdon, he's going to give you some size. He's 6'4", 220 pounds, big boy for a safety. He's long, he's fast, his closing speed is really, really good, and he's very happy to play physical. He will take on any block that he sees. Now, the issues with him, sometimes he hits high. He needs to learn to wrap up a little better. Had some injury issues. He played 11 snaps one season, 47 snaps the next. But this year, he played over 100 snaps in the slot. So I could see this as maybe a day 3 possibility. The fact that he has the size and speed that you would like to have in your secondary is intriguing. It's about the only reason I put him ahead of Woodson as of right now. Okay, let's go on to my number 12 safety, and it's Jalen Reed from Penn State. 6 foot even, 212 pounds. Excellent in run support. What he's going to do is demonstrate strong tackling ability, and he's willing to come on downhill in a very aggressive manner. In coverage, he'll patrol those deep zones. He's got the awareness to read a quarterback and anticipate plays. So he's got some very high football IQ. He's got great leadership qualities on the field that the Penn State coaches love. They love how dependable he is. Now, his aggressiveness can sometimes work against him. Just like we talked about with Woodson, he can overcommit in the run game as well as in coverage. So that's something that he's going to have to tame a little bit. I could see Jalen Reed going round 5 or so. And then we go on to number 11, and it's Hunter Wohler from the University of Wisconsin. 6'1", 217 pounds. I've seen a few people that have him in their top 10s. The first thing that's going to jump off the screen when you watch Hunter Wohler play is his tackling. In 2023, he recorded 120 tackles. I really don't know if there is a player at this position that you'd feel more comfortable with guarding the back end solo, because he plays with great poise, great control in the open field, and he knows how to make effective tackles. He can play up and down the formation. He can produce from the slot, the box, free safety. Most likely his real position in the NFL will be as a too-high free safety. So that's really the role for Hunter Wohler. He has the size to play against tight ends, which we all like, because if you have the ability to cover tight ends, you are very, very valuable in the NFL nowadays. He can play bigger receivers. When it comes to playing the run, he can go downhill pretty well. He isn't the type of safety who's just going to clean up a busted tackle in the secondary. Okay, so he gets those clean run tackles. He powers through blockers. He knows how to make those tackles. The drawbacks for Wohler, he's got some stiffness in his hips. He doesn't have that quick short area burst you'd like to see, so that can hurt him in man coverage, and he can struggle to fight through those really good blocks when playing from the strong safety spot. So you're not looking at the fastest player, but you're looking at a smart physical player. I could see Wohler going early in day 3, round 4, maybe early round 5. Okay, let's go on to the top 10, and it's Malachi Moore from the University of Alabama. Quick aside, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button yet, please hit that. It helps get the word out about the channel. And remember, we get to our 15 likes, we'll be spinning the wheel a little bit later on. So Malachi Moore, he's 6 foot even, 201 pounds. With Malachi Moore, I see a playmaking safety who's going to thrive playing deep. He allowed a completion percentage of 44%. Okay, I talked about a true center fielder. This is your true center fielder. 7 pass breakups and 2 interceptions in 2024. He's a natural cover safety. He's not only athletic, but he's got good natural football instincts. So where you want to use Moore is in zone coverage, because his awareness, his strong coverage ability, his anticipation, those things are really going to shine. So if you're playing like man defense, you may not want more in that spot. He's best in zone. He's also very respected for his leadership ability. We know the Jets could use that. I would say what could use some help is his playmaking strength going against bigger blockers. Right now, he's getting blown. He could get blown up by big physical blockers a little too easily. But if you use him in his right role, he could be a very good piece for you. I could see him going 4th round. So that's Malachi Moore, and that's my number 10 safety. Let's keep going to number 9, and it's Billy Bowman Jr. from the University of Oklahoma. So he is 5'10", 200 pounds. He has a lot of experience playing all over the secondary. His home is going to be free safety, but he frequently comes down into the box or to the splits to cover a receiver one-on-one. His closing speed is good. He can cut off those throwing lanes. He can tackle ball carriers in open space. Good sideline-to-sideline range and coverage, which helps him in run support. So he's an option for those single-high defenses in the NFL. And he has good instincts in zone coverage. So that allows him to make plays outside his usual range. He's got great range, great quickness. He's got those fluid hips. He'll cover ground very efficiently. And he can what I really like about him, he has a receiving background. So he can contort himself in the air to make those wide receiver type catches. He has good timing, good leaping ability to get a good read on the ball, and he can contest catches without drawing penalty flags. So if you're looking for a playmaker, I think Bowman can do that. Where he got into trouble this year was his tackling. He has average size. He can be over-aggressive and led to a lot of missed tackles. 25% missed tackle rate this year. That isn't good. He'll come at you with force, but he doesn't really have the size to make the tackles as consistently as you want. He has to stay within himself. He can't get caught out of position. He bites too much on these fakes and double moves. All right. So I do have some concerns about Bowman, but as far as being a pure playmaker goes, kind of like an Ashton Davis, he could do that. I think he'd be a big help on special teams as well. So I do see a little bit of Ashton in him. All right, number 8 is going to be a player that I think a lot of people have been talking about as a riser, as a sleeper. So that player is from the University of Iowa, and it's Sebastian Castro. I know that the great Dom C, that's one of his favorite players. So Castro is 5'11", 202 pounds. Some people love him. Some people discount him. Okay, I've seen him in people's top 5s. I've seen him in around 15 on other lists. Here's what Castro is. He is the Swiss Army knife. He'll play safety, slot corner, offensive linebacker. Unlike his football smarts, he's great at route recognition, and he's one of the better slot defenders at stopping the run in this draft class. He displays a lot of urgency as a tackler, whether it's after the catch or it's in run support. Very good play strength. He could take on a tight end if you want him to. Very good man-to-man defender. Now, what's his issues? Well, it's really his upside. He's going to turn 25 years old in October. He's going to be the same age in his rookie year as some players by the time that their rookie contracts are up. And you combine that with, kind of average athleticism, I think it's going to limit how high his ceiling is going to be in the NFL. Now, he's a physical defensive back. He's got a high football IQ. So I think his floor is good. He could be in the NFL for certainly, I think, a good 5 years for sure. I just think the ceiling is not as high as some of these other players. Also, those short arms he has, that's going to make it tougher for him to get off blocks. If he's in the right situation, I think he could thrive, and I think he can be a quick contributor. But I think I see very late 3rd round, but more likely 4th round for Sebastian Castro. All right. Let's go to number 7, and it's Lathan Ransom from The Ohio State University. 6'1", 210 pounds. This is a very instinctive, versatile safety with a strong all-around game. He can excel in coverage. He'll excel in run support. He's got that range to patrol the secondary. He's got the physicality to make plays near the line of scrimmage. I think what jumps off the tape with him, off the film with him, is his run defense. He flies to the ball. He can get around complex blocking schemes. He can beat his man. He finds the ball carrier, and he finishes the play. He plays with very controlled aggression, and he's got a nice big frame so he can deliver hits, and he can tackle without needing to overcommit like some of these other safeties are prone to doing. So his football IQ, his ability to read the quarterbacks, that's going to allow him to anticipate routes. He'll disrupt those passing lanes. In coverage, he's very, very fluid in his movements. He shows strong ball skills. Sometimes his tackling technique can be a little concerning against the run, but he's very adaptable. He shows great leadership on the field. I think he's going to be a very good contributor in the NFL. Scouts say he has a very good ability to learn, that he's really grown in his time in college. I like players who have grown from freshman year to senior year, because I don't want a player who hasn't grown in college. Because if he's not grown in college, how's he going to grow in the NFL, right? But most players say he'll be at his best playing in the box. His weakness would probably be downfield coverage. He doesn't really have the change of direction ability to be a quality man coverage defender. You can use him in a deep zone, but he's not at his best when playing the last line of defense. He's just not the short area athlete to make those tackles in open space. So he's really more of a box safety where that straight line speed can be used to its absolute best. And also he has some injury histories, broken elbow, broken ankle, broken thumb, but it's a plug and play option that you can draft, I would say, early day 3. So that's Lathan Ransom. Let's go to number 6. Hope everybody's enjoying this and learning about a few prospects like I have this week. Number 6, Jonas Sanker from the Virginia Cavaliers, 6'1", 210 pounds. Now, he has been all ACC twice, and in those 2 years, he had 205 tackles, 15 passes defended, 2 sacks, an interception, 3 forced fumbles. This year, he led the nation in solo tackles with 66, and he has a knack for making the biggest plays in the biggest moments. And for a Virginia team that needed some playmakers, Jonas Sanker really can come in handy. But he's a very good safety. He's known for his physicality and football intelligence. You can see I like versatile safeties who are smart on the field. Okay, but he is going to excel in run support. He's got that quick trigger, so he can close ground very well on ball carriers. He takes good angles. In coverage, he's got good footwork and anticipation. He'll disrupt passing lanes very, very well. He's got experience in both 2 high safety and the nickel position, which shows you he's very adaptable against different types of offenses. And he's played all over the formation. He's played at least 140 snaps in 2024 at both free safety, strong safety, and slot corner. So Virginia used him all over the place. Does most of his work in the box where he can exploit those mismatches to find holes, make plays. Also can blitz if you want him to. He can blitz coming off the edge. And then off the field, he's demonstrated great leadership that NFL teams will love. Reaction time, top tier. I would say the issue with him, he has some tight hips, so that can affect his ability to match up against the quick, shifty receivers in man coverage. So you don't want him to cover as much downfield in man concepts. You want him as a box safety where he is providing run support, playing zones in the middle of the field, can handle tight ends, can handle running backs. You just don't want him against those slot receivers. So for me, I'm thinking day 3 for this guy. If you're a box safety first, I don't really think I want you in the first couple of rounds. That's just me, though. So that's Jonas Sanker from Virginia. Okay, on to the top 5. And I was all 5 of these safeties, I will tell you, I think these are all worthy of day 1 or day 2 picks. Number 5 from Penn State is Kevin Winston Jr., 6'2", 208 pounds. He has shown elite playmaking ability, pursuit, tracking the ball, tackling. Winston does all of it. Now, it's a little bit of a surprise that he is going to be in the NFL draft. He played his junior year and tore his ACL, played only 1 game in 2024. But his sophomore year in 2023, fantastic. He led the team in tackles, recovered 2 fumbles, had an interception. His missed tackle rate was only 2%. 2%. And that year, 2023, he lined up everywhere. He spent a lot of time as linebacker, box safety, slot corner. Most of his time was free safety because he's very rangy and he was able to showcase that ability. So what you want with Winston is for him to play deep, fire down off the snap, fill in a rushing lane, or slide back into a deep zone. He could, again, we know he could tackle very well, so you want to put him in a position where he can make plays on the ball. Where he has issues with, besides the injury, he can lack a little bit of anticipation and coverage. There's too much reacting after the move is made. So giving him that idea of how to diagnose a play and react is going to go a long way. I think Winston is a day 2 pick. I think he comes off the board in the 3rd round. I think, though, he would have benefited from one more year in college. But when you have a player like this that's young, explosive, lengthy, physical, smart, loaded with potential, still a bit raw, you want a really good defensive coaching staff for him. But I'm thinking top 75. I think by the middle of round 3, this kid's going to be off the board. Someone's going to take a shot on his potential. Then we go on to number 4. Let's see, how are we doing on our likes? Yeah, we're doing okay with our likes, but we got a little ways to go before we get to 15. Andrew Makuba from the University of Texas. There you go. 6 foot even, 190 pounds. Now, Makuba, he's a little undersized for an NFL safety, but he's a fantastic, fantastic athlete. That is one of those players you're going to want to watch at the combine. He's got blazing speed, like wide receiver, speedy wide receiver type speed, plus great agility. So it's not just straight line speed. He's got change of direction skills. He's got sideline to sideline range on the back end. He can thrive in man or zone coverage, fits in a variety of schemes. But you want Makuba in coverage, where he can put that fluidity and versatility on display. He can snag interceptions with his ball skills. He tracks down passes in space. He has great timing. A very sure tackler, wraps up well, takes very smart angles downfield. And even though free safety is really is his spot, he can play box safety if you want him to. He can cover the slot one-on-one. He is very, very sticky in coverage. And he's got great energy, relentless energy, great physicality. It's catching the attention of scouts. Very good tackler in open space, but in traffic, he's going to struggle a little bit more. Sometimes he needs to up his aggressiveness to avoid getting washed out by the blocking. And with the smaller frame, I don't know if he's really going to handle tight ends well, especially in the red zone. So you can get a bit handsy in coverage, but I've seen comparisons to Kyle Hamilton, to Brian Branch, that type of a player, where he's very good if you use him at what he's best at. You don't want him playing down in the box too much. If you use him in coverage, you can have a very, very good coverage safety. So I see late 2nd, early 3rd round for Andrew Makuba. All right, let's go on to number 3. Now, I think I'm going to surprise a few people with this particular pick because I know there's a lot of Jet fans who really want this player, and I'm not saying he'd be a bad pickup, but I've got him ranked a little lower at number 3. But first, a quick swig of water for the working man and woman. My number 3 is Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. And I've seen a lot of Jet fans who want to draft him with their 2nd round pick. I'm not saying I would hate the idea, but let's talk about him. 6 foot even, 203 pounds. This is a wide receiver, turned linebacker, turned safety. He's got quite the interesting story. Now, he's a very instinctive safety. He is renowned for his ball hawking ability, his versatility in the secondary. Notre Dame transitioned him from wide receiver to safety, and he has showed exceptional football intelligence and adaptability. And because he has that wide receiver background, that helps his ability to anticipate routes and secure turnovers. 2023, he led the nation with 7 interceptions, won the Bronco Nagurski Award as the top defensive player in the nation. Actually has 13 interceptions in 2 years, and that's after playing safety for only 3 years. Very, very impressive. Now, he plays most of his time at free safety, but he's played at the box a lot. He's played in the slot a little bit. He's a natural in coverage. And again, that's how he's able to read quarterbacks so well. The issue with Watts is he has this very aggressive pursuit that has resulted in missed tackles. Sometimes he approaches the point of contact a little too hastily. 2 years ago, he had a missed tackle rate of 20%. Okay, this past year, it was 13%. So he definitely showed signs of improvement. But his playmaking ability and versatility do make him valuable for any defensive team. And he's not necessarily the fastest player that we're going to see at safety. I know that's not a problem in most scenarios, but I don't know if you want him in single high coverage schemes. I still think Watts is a round 2 pick. I certainly like him. There's just 2 safeties that I like a little bit more. All right, who are those 2 safeties? Well, my number 2 safety is Nick Amenwari from South Carolina. So, yeah, I went with a Gamecock at number 2. 6'3", 227 pounds. This is a blend of size, athleticism, and football instincts, and the build of a will linebacker. Yet he's still fluid enough to patrol the secondary. He's got a 32-inch broad jump. That is insane. He could thrive as a split field defender. This year, 4 interceptions, 90 tackles, 3 pass breakups. And he played box safety mainly for South Carolina, but he also played free safety and the slot quite a bit. He has a combination of size and speed. You just don't see at safety all that often. And it allows him to do things that other safeties just can't do. Big hitter, probably the hardest hitter in this class. He is happy to step into a rushing lane and just lay the boom out on any ball carrier who's in his path. His tackling technique is very sound. It showcases that linebacker background. He doesn't just want to deliver big hits. He will still close in on his target, and he wraps them up very reliably. What sets Amunwari apart is his IQ. He processes the game instantly and very intelligently, much like a Kyle Hamilton. And for all his size, his speed, his aggressiveness, he doesn't get ahead of himself or lose focus. He doesn't take penalties. His missed tackle rate's around 6-7%, so you're getting a very disciplined player. With his quick decision-making and his playmaking ability, I think this is a player who's going to exceed at the next level. This is the type of guy I would expect to see on the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens. I know the Ravens already have Hamilton, but that kind of a player that, thrives on physicality. Amunwari, I think, is going to be one heck of a player. Over-aggressive in run support, can take himself out of plays once in a while. So I want to watch his agility. He's more of a straight line runner. I want to see what his change of direction turns into. But I think that this is a player worthy of going in the first round. I really, really do. Not saying he will. I could see early second round, but if somebody used a late first round pick on him, I'd be game for it. Sharon McLean is an Xavier Watts fan. She wants him there at 42. Hey, I wouldn't hate the idea. I wouldn't mind getting a quarterback there either if that's the way it comes. If that's the way it comes down. But yeah, a lot of Jet fans love Watts, and they look at him as a realistic target because I don't think there's a lot of Jet fans who expect them to take a safety with their number 1 pick unless they were to trade down. Yeah, I can't justify taking the safety at 7. However, this safety we have at number 1 is a pretty special player. Malachi Starks from Georgia, 6'1", 205 pounds, very well-built safety, a huge catch radius. You can kind of see in the picture how long those arms are. And he's got the versatility to play anywhere in the secondary. Very, very smart. 3-year starter against the best competition in the country. And he's athletic enough to cover a huge amount of space. He's got the processing ability to act upon his reads. It's not just diagnosing the play. You got to have the physical ability to take care of it. And Starks has that. He loves disrupting plays when the ball's thrown in his direction. Throw in a solid tackler. He's going to be a starting safety, and it's going to happen quickly. His run defense is elite when coming downhill in particular. He is the best tackler in this class. Okay? He makes contact with just beautiful form, wraps up, secures those tackles. He can tackle receivers who are bigger than he is. And he's also a very, very hard hitter, right? Not far off from Amunwari. He can fight through blocks. He takes smart angles. He disrupts offensive rhythm and motion with just his presence by itself. And then in coverage, let's talk about the coverage. He had in 2024 over 200 snaps at box safety, free safety, and slot corner. He can mirror receivers in man coverage out of the slot. He can make plays on the ball. He's most natural playing in zone when he can read and react. That's what you really want him to do. In 2024, his coverage was not great. He was asked to do more than what he did before. And for all his speed, he doesn't seem to put it to use in deep field coverage. He could be a step late coming over against vertical routes. Sometimes he doesn't read the play and identify his responsibility as fast as you would want. So he's going to have to be a little more precise in his pursuit and how he stacks and sheds blocks closer to the line of scrimmage. But it's nitpicking. I think Starks is going to be a top 20, top 25 pick somewhere in there. I think Malachi Starks has great potential as a safety in the NFL. All right, guys. Hey, that's 20 safeties we talked about between the draft and free agency. All right, that the Jets can take a look at. So let's see if this stupid camera works. All right, there we go. All right, it's working for a minute. Hopefully, it'll stay with it for the rest of the show. There we go. All right, guys. Well, hey, I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed that breakdown. Next week, we're going to do more of a full-fledged free agency breakdown. Talk about some players that might be good targets for the Jets. And we'll see what winds up happening. And we'll see how many of these guys even get to free agency. The great Harlan Abraham has joined us tonight. Father Abraham and his many sons are here in the chat. Okay, guys. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to go ahead and do. Of course, one last reminder, hit that thumbs up button. I see that we're in double digits, but we got to get a few more. And by the way, a quick reminder, we have a brand new wheel, the first round pick wheel, where I've got a bunch of names that I've seen mocked to the Jets. So if you like to spin that wheel, hey, call everybody you know. Share the link with them, and because we still need about 5 more likes to spin the wheel tonight. But before we do that, it's time for a little bit of a tradition here at the New York Sports WickerMedia channel. You guys know what happens every single week. I head into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge. I bust open the books. I pull up the websites. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. And I, Y2K99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in the National Football League. Just how much do you know about your and my New York Football Jets? So, Jet fans, if you are ready, let's play Jets Trivia. All right, so I think at this point it is time to turn the page to doing some NFL draft questions. I think we're going to pretty much do that for the next 2 months or so. I like doing the draft questions because there's so many different ways that you can go with them. So we'll see how we wind up doing over here with this particular question tonight. So let's go ahead and pop it up there on the screen. And you all know the rules. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Put your answers down there in the chat, and I will let you know if the answer is correct or if it is incorrect. So tonight's question goes like this. The Jets have drafted 11 players in the history of the franchise from Auburn University. I went with Auburn because they have an excellent basketball team right now. But what I want to know is, who are the 2 most recent players that the Jets drafted from Auburn University? Do you know who they are? All right, folks, so let's see your answers in the chat, and let's see if you can get this one right tonight. Yeah, if the time goes for a little bit and we don't have correct answers, I'll narrow it down for you a little bit. I will tell you it is 1 offensive player and 1 defensive player. Hey, Clancy_NY Jets is here. How you doing, man? And he is saying that Jamian Sherwood was drafted by the Jets from Auburn University. Is that correct? Sure is. Jamian Sherwood was drafted in 2021. Another late-round gem of a pick, I might say. Danger Zone, that's toughy for a casual NCAA guy like myself. I got to be honest with you, Danger, I'm probably even more casual with it than you are. I don't have a college football team. I never have. If there's a story in the bowl games or in the national championship, I'll watch. But no, I grew up in central New Jersey. I mean, I don't have a team that I really follow. Maybe if I marry a girl one day and she's like a devoted fan of a team, I'll do it then. But that's about the only way I think it's happening. So, translation, not likely. Ugh, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. JD did find some very good players in late rounds. I mean, he definitely did better than his predecessors did. Yeah, Michael Carter comes to mind for sure. Guys like Bryce Huff is an undrafted free agent. You got to count the undrafted free agents. So. And again, if you're like a fourth, fifth round pick like Jordan Jenkins and you just become a credible starter, you know what? I'll take that. I don't expect Pro Bowlers from my mid-round picks, but that's me. Okay, we're about halfway through on the time, so about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Ariel Hukporti will start at center tonight for the Knicks. Speaking of the Knicks, I saw their G League team, with their Tyler Kolek with TJ Warren, go NC State. They're actually going to be in Greensboro Friday night and Saturday night to take on the Swarm, playing right next to the Greensboro Coliseum. So I'm thinking I might, after work on Friday, I might drive down to Greensboro and watch the game. So maybe I'll check that out. Was listening while eating. What was on the menu? I had some ziti and sausage and peppers when I came home from work today. So hope dinner was good. All right, let me see if I can narrow this down a little bit. So offense, and you have to go back a little bit. This player was drafted in the 1990s. So it was Sherwood, but then it was over 20 years. Only one I can't think of to school is Simpson. Are you talking about Jalen Simpson, the safety? Yeah, he's on the Jets now, but he wasn't drafted by the Jets. Okay. Ooh, roast beef and provolone from Jersey Mike's. Nice. Yeah, I like that. I am a Jersey Mike's guy. We actually got one right across the street from the college I work at. They actually got the Mike's Hot Honey in there now. Whoo! Yeah, I've had that stuff before. Yeah, probably my go-tos there. I got two go-tos. The Italian sub is good. Well, unless you're going to like a real Italian deli, but for like a chain place, it's fine. But my two favorite things to get are the Big Kahuna chicken cheesesteak, extra chicken. It's got the mushrooms, the onions, the American cheese. I think has some jalapeno in it too. Bell pepper. I like that a lot. And on their secret menu is the Cancro special. Clancy, I'd actually recommend this one. If you like pepperoni, get it. It's roast beef, pepperoni, and provolone. And it's named after Peter Cancro, the founder of the franchise. So yeah, the Cancro special is my go-to cold, and the Big Kahuna chicken cheesesteak is my go-to hot. Okay, guys, looks like the time ran out here. All right. The correct answer tonight, this was a little bit tough. He was drafted in 1993 by the Jets. Okay. See if I can narrow. I'll sort of like narrow it down. So drafted in 1993, a fifth round draft pick, and he played in the NFL for 10 years. And he was drafted 115th overall, actually 11 years in the NFL. And he was with the Jets from 1993 until 2000, and he went on to the Patriots and the Bears. And the correct answer is Fred Baxter. Yeah, Fred Baxter. Yeah, hidden menu items. I got you, brother. Yeah. But yeah, Jamie Sherwood and Fred Baxter were drafted. Those are the last two picks that the Jets have had that went to Auburn University. So that's the trivia for tonight. Yeah, I knew that was kind of a tough one, but I do enjoy those trivia questions. Guys, I'm just going to do. We have a couple of late arrivals here. I appreciate everybody who's stopping in. We start at 6 p.m. Eastern, not 7. Yeah, but I definitely do appreciate it. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to give you guys one spin tonight. Let's give you one spin, right? All right. So I want to show, for those who haven't seen, here is the wheel. There we go. And let's maximize that out. So this is our first round pick wheel. So I have a number of prospects who the Jets have been linked to. Offense, defense, pretty much everything but a kicker at this point. I've even got the trade up and trade down options as well. So we're going to do one spin every week and just see what winds up happening. And what the heck? I think I'm even going to track this and see what we wind up getting. and who we land on most often. So let's just for fun, let's do a first round pick. Who will the New York Jets draft in Green Bay with possibly the number 7 overall pick on that day at the draft? Well, let's find out in 3, 2, 1. And it comes to a stop on Kelvin Banks, the offensive lineman. Okay, well, I know some people are very, very high on him. I haven't done a ton of research on him, but I guess the idea is he would fill in for Morgan Moses in that right tackle spot. So from what I'm seeing the Bears, the Seahawks, teams like that are definitely after him. But he's 6'4", 320 pounds from Humboldt, Texas. And if he can adapt, 6'4" is not very tall. And the comparisons I'm seeing are to Peter Skoronski and Elijah Vera Tucker. So when I see that, I almost wonder if he's best suited to be a guard. I don't know. All right, let's stop. Well, we're gonna stop that sharing. Tony wants to trade down. Well, hey, trade down is on the wheel, my friend. So maybe we'll land on that next week. So, all right, everybody. I think we're gonna call it a night. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week. If I want to go into that Westchester Knicks game, I'll try to post some videos, see if there's anything interesting going on. But I'm pretty sure I'll have a pretty good seat since it's like 12 rows. So, all right. So everybody, let's see what happens at the combine. See if there's anything noteworthy to come out of it. Oh, and Clancy with never hate an OL pick, but this year you can get in the middle rounds. Yeah, that's fair. This is not a situation where you're getting an offensive lineman that high. It just does not make much sense to do it. It's defensive linemen, it's quarterbacks, it's cornerbacks as well. And obviously a limited quarterback class, but it's like you got one receiver, one running back who are up there. It's kind of all over the map, and I think that's going to make it fun because it's going to be very hard to predict what winds up happening here. You know, there's so many teams who need quarterbacks, and these draft experts are pretty much mixed. Like Tennessee could take a quarterback, they may not take a quarterback. It's hard to say, but I will say this: I don't expect one of the top 2 quarterbacks to fall to the Jets at 7. Don't count on that happening. So that's just my thought for the night. It's not going to happen. Jets want one of those quarterbacks because they're going to have to trade up to get them. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week, and I will see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody. See you later.